I think we have to have a talk about your spending practices. You find a lot of...
Oh, I know.
How much have you spent on property the last 2 years, right?
Chris Doumit has officially stepped away from Gold Rush, and this isn't just another cast change. Something big went down in season 15. For years, fans have watched him step up every time the operation fell apart, fixing breakdowns, keeping the crew steady, and making Parker Schnabel's mining empire run like a finely tuned engine. So what could possibly make the most dependable man on the team finally say, "I'm done"? This season, the pressure cooker finally blew. The chase for gold turned from thrilling to punishing when Parker set a goal that left everyone stunned. 10,000 ounces. It was bold, maybe even reckless, but Parker's never been about playing small. To reach that insane number, he fired up every plant, Big Red, Rock Sand, and Bob's, all running full tilt. On paper, it sounded like a master plan. In reality, it was chaos. The workload went off the charts, and no one felt it harder than Chris Doumit. The man who always kept things running smooth suddenly found himself buried under a mountain of stress. The behind-the-scenes reality was far harsher than viewers realized. What unfolded would test even the toughest miner on the claim. For years, Chris has been the unsung hero, the guy in the shadows making sure the gold never stopped flowing. But this season, tough became unbearable. Cleaning out sluice boxes for 3 wash plants non-stop isn't just a challenge, it's physical punishment. And with time catching up to him, the grind started hitting harder than ever. Chris didn't mince words. "I hate when we're forced to do things the wrong way just because we're rushing for gold. I hate that he gave everything he had, but even the strongest reach their limit. And this time, he hit his." For longtime fans, that says a lot, because Chris has never been one to complain. But this season, silence wasn't an option. It was either speak up or break down. No matter how experienced he was, there was simply too much to do. The crew was stretched razor thin, and Parker refused to pull operators off machines to help in the gold room. That left Chris trapped, until he mentioned one name, Tatiana Costa. She's one of the best operators in the game, though not someone anyone expected to see handling gold cleanups. Still, desperate times call for desperate moves. Parker had to decide, keep Tatiana in the field or give Chris a lifeline. Mitch and Tyson weren't thrilled, but it was either that or lose Chris for good. Eventually, Parker caved. Tatiana got gold room training, giving Chris the help he'd been begging for. But was it too little? Too late? Even with extra hands, the storm didn't let up. Parker's drive for more gold only intensified, and as the season charged forward, the strain started showing everywhere. 70, yeah, 289.50, woo, chest bump. Moments like that, bursts of celebration, masked how much everyone was cracking beneath the surface. Chris had been with Parker's crew since season 4, and in that decade, he'd become one of the operation's most valuable pillars. But this season tested him in ways no one expected. His journey into Gold Rush wasn't even planned. He started as a carpenter, building cabins for Todd Hoffman's crew. Then fate threw him into the dirt, literally, and he found his groove in gold mining. Turns out, he wasn't just good at it. He was exceptional. Once Parker brought him on board, the team's gold recovery numbers skyrocketed. Still, even the best have limits. The grind, the pressure, the endless rush for ounces, it all started to take its toll. Fans can't imagine Gold Rush without Chris, but this time it feels different. The exhaustion is real, and the spark that kept him going seems to be fading. Mining's never been easy. It's a war of endurance, patience, and pure willpower. But eventually you've got to ask yourself, is it still worth it? For Chris, after years of running himself into the ground, that question's no longer theoretical. As the season unfolds, that's the cloud hanging over everything. If he walks away for good, the crew loses more than just a worker. They lose the glue holding everything together. Chris has survived brutal seasons before, but this one? It pushed him right to the edge. The gold room was falling apart, the 10,000-ounce dream was slipping, and the workload was crushing everyone in its path. If he leaves, Parker's empire loses a cornerstone, the guy who quietly kept every moving part from collapsing. But gold has a strange pull, and Chris isn't the type to back down easily. After over a decade, he's become more than a miner. He's the heartbeat of the operation. In the gold room, where dirt turns to treasure, precision is everything. One mistake can mean thousands lost. Chris mastered that process, making sure not a single speck was wasted. His attention to detail made Parker's record-breaking seasons possible. But beyond the gold, he's the crew's steady hand, the calm in the chaos, the guy everyone checks in with after a brutal shift. "How's it going, man?" "Not bad." Cleaning gold, non-stop simple exchanges that show why everyone trusts him. He's the morale booster, the fixer, the voice of reason when tensions hit boiling point. When machines break or tempers flare, Chris is the one holding it together. Over time, he became more than an employee. He became the foundation. So when Parker launched the crazy idea to run 3 wash plants at once, Chris was the one who bore the brunt of it. Clearing sluice boxes, refining gold, and doing it all at an insane pace. It broke him down. For the first time, quitting didn't just cross his mind. It felt inevitable. Even Parker admitted, "We could probably hit 10,000, sure, but our costs would skyrocket." Reality was catching up fast. Without Chris, those big goals are nothing but dreams. His legacy on Gold Rush is carved in grit and gold dust, from carpenter to cornerstone, from outsider to essential. If Parker's the face of the operation, Chris is the backbone, and losing him could change everything. So the big question remains, is this really the end? After years of pushing past his limits, maybe he's finally reached the point where walking away isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Because even in gold mining, every man has a breaking point. And this season, Chris Doumit may have just found his. It started with a kid who simply refused to quit, no matter who doubted him. The teenager who didn't just join gold mining. He took it over. Parker Schnabel didn't stumble into this world by accident. He was practically born with gold dust in his veins. Born in the mid-90s, in the quiet mining town of Haines, Alaska, Parker grew up surrounded by roaring engines, muddy boots, and the endless pursuit of treasure buried in the earth. While most kids were playing with toy dump trucks, Parker was sitting in the real deal, at the Big Nugget mine, run by his legendary grandfather, John Schnabel. By the time he could barely reach the pedals, he was learning to operate heavy machinery like he'd been doing it his whole life. As he grew, school became just another obstacle to balance with mining. Sure, he played basketball in high school, but everyone knew where his true passion was, in the dirt, not the gym. College? That was on the table. Geology, mining, something practical. But the classroom walls couldn't contain him. Instead, he took his savings, his knowledge, and his courage and poured them into something far riskier, his own mining operation. At 16, Parker Schnabel did the unthinkable. He took over the Big Nugget mine from his grandfather. Imagine that, a teenager managing grown men twice his age, commanding heavy equipment and calling the shots. But this wasn't arrogance, it was skill. Parker understood that mining wasn't luck. It was strategy, patience, and relentless hard work. And he proved he had all three. Then came the moment that changed everything. Television. When Gold Rush hit the Discovery Channel in the early 2000s, Parker and his family were right at the center of it. Viewers watched in disbelief as this young, determined miner outworked veterans of the trade. Yeah, Jordan's starting to catch up. He's going faster now, 'cause right as I leave, he'll be right behind me with a full box. But Parker wasn't content with just being part of the show. He wanted more. Still in his teens, he made a daring move. leaving his family's mine to strike out on his own in the Yukon. It was a massive risk. New land, new equipment, new team. But that's Parker. Playing it safe never built an empire. His first solo season, over 1,000 ounces of gold. That's not beginner's luck. That's a statement. Year after year, he pushed harder, expanded his operations, and silenced every critic who thought he was riding his grandfather's legacy. He wasn't following footsteps. He was carving new ones. But Parker's story wasn't just about machinery and money. It was about proving something deeper. That drive beats age, that obsession beats comfort, and that real success is mined through persistence. Soon, his adventures outgrew Gold Rush. Enter Gold Rush. Parker's Trail, a spin-off that took him across continents, tracing the roots of historic miners from the Yukon to Papua New Guinea. He wasn't just chasing gold anymore. He was chasing history. But even gold miners have personal struggles. His relationship with Australian veterinary nurse Ashley Ewell brought a rare glimpse into his private life. She even joined him on screen. But between the long hours, brutal schedules, and the non-stop grind, things fell apart. Parker admitted it himself. Mining always came first. So, if we run a yard, we need to get 155 milligrams, 40 buckets, 40 buckets. This isn't a guy chasing fame. It's a guy chasing perfection. Even now, in his 30s, he's still in the dirt every season, pushing limits, chasing bigger goals, and redefining what's possible in modern mining. But it raises a question. How long can anyone keep this pace? Mining isn't just physical. It's mental warfare. One mistake, one bad season, and everything can collapse. He's made millions, and lost plenty too. So will he one day walk away from the spotlight? Or is he too deep in the gold game to ever stop? Right now, Parker Schnabel remains one of the most recognizable names in modern gold mining. Every record, every season, every ounce tells the story of a man who never took the easy road. But what happens when the gold runs dry? That's the story yet to unfold. Because in this game, success isn't guaranteed. It's mined. The numbers behind Gold Rush tell the real story. Mining isn't about striking it rich overnight. It's about risk, loss, and survival. Look at the early years. In Season 3, Todd Hoffman's crew finally caught a break, pulling out over 800 ounces, worth more than $1 million. But while they celebrated, Parker was quietly building something far greater. His operation yielded nearly 200 ounces that season. And it was only the beginning. By Season 4, Parker leased land at Scribner Creek, and everything changed. His team pulled in over 800 ounces, then 1,000 the next year, crushing Hoffman's totals and marking the rise of a new powerhouse. Season after season, the gap widened. Season 5, over 2,500 ounces, roughly $3 million in gold. Hoffman barely broke half that. Season 6, Tony Beats entered the fray, bringing old-school grit and a vintage dredge, mining about 700 ounces. But Parker's team pulled over 3,300, worth more than $3.5 million. By Season 7, Parker's operation hit another level. 4,300 ounces, worth over $5 million. Beats stayed consistent with 2,000 ounces, but the young miner had clearly taken the crown. Then came Season 8, 6,200 ounces, more than $7.5 million in gold. Beats mined 3,600,000, respectable but still far behind. Season 9 brought another insane milestone, over 7,400 ounces, nearly $9 million in value. Rick Ness tried to step up, managing just over 1,000 ounces, while Tony Beats fell short of his 6,000-ounce goal. And in Season 10, even with production dropping slightly, higher gold prices pushed Parker past the $10 million mark. The others? Still chasing his dust. Fast forward to Season 14, when Parker set a goal of 5,000 ounces and shattered it with over 7,300, worth almost $15 million. Tony Beats, aiming for 6,000, ended with just over 3,000. Rick Ness made a modest comeback with 1,100 ounces. The numbers don't lie. Parker isn't just competing, he's dominating. Yeah, it's been a challenge getting people into the Klondike, right? There's quite a few borders to get through. So what about Chris Doumit's shocking exit? Was it just the pressure? Or is there a deeper story behind the scenes? Let us know what you think in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more Gold Rush breakdowns.